could seek funding through the regenerative tourism in Alberta. We can use government programs like the specialized funds and investor networks. We can see how philanthropic organizations. We can invest in developing a local destination management organization. We can also partner with the province of Alberta Tourism to promote our region. And we can use advertising and marketing. Like I noticed Jasper last year, when the fires, we were promoting Alberta and Canada tourism in Jasper. We can advertise for tourism here in Canmore, promoting how great it is. We can also invest in new experiences like the Everwild Nordic Spa. We can facilitate capital investment to promote private and capital investments to develop the tourism sector. I think if we do this, we strive to work with public funding and private funds in order to develop our town for tourism. It'll be amazing. Thank you.
Jen, over to you.
Thank you. I think it's important to recognize that visitors are an important part of our community. They contribute to the economy, they contribute to our local businesses. I understand that there can be a strain as well on our infrastructure and on our operations. There has been mention or discussion about continuing to pursue resort municipality status, which would allow us to access some more money to put back into the infrastructure and operations based on that visitors or on those visitors. And I think there's also an opportunity to pursue other provincial and possibly federal grants or funding that would help support our community and the large number of visitors that we have visiting our community. As far as priorities and initiatives, I think there's many. I think there needs to be a very strong collaboration with Tourism Canmore Kananaskis. TCK is really the ones that are plugged into our tourism providers, our hotels, our restaurants. So they're going to have some ideas and some ways that we can also make sure we're supporting visitorship to Canmore, but in a sustainable way that still allows funds to support our infrastructure and our operations as well.
And to close this question out, John, you're up.
Thank you. There are a few ways that we can come up so that we can reinvest in money from tourism wisely. I strongly believe that tourism has to benefit our community first, and to do that we invest a portion of the revenues to building or maintaining our infrastructure. Secondly, into housing, the very people that support the visitor economy need to be provided with housing so they can stay here, and that's good with the retention, supports our businesses. And then I would also advocate for diversifying our tourism economy, and the way to do it is investing in a portion of the revenue into culture tourism. We have an arts place. I would definitely advocate expanding arts place into host more international festivals and events, so that we can attract tourism throughout the years, visitation throughout the year. Take that strain, peak season strain away from our infrastructure. And then lastly, I would like to see Canmore moving towards regenerative tourism. We attract visitors that are not only here for the views of the landscape, but they're here because they value our culture and they respect our community and participate in events and activities that support environmental protection. Thank you.
This next question will be answered by Rob, Laura, Ed, and Jonathan. The Bow Valley Chamber of Commerce asks, housing affordability remains a growing challenge for workers and families in Canmore. How will you work to expand affordable housing options and support developments that meet the evolving needs of our workforce? We'll start this question out with Rob.
Canmore is a leader in affordable housing, so continuing with CCH Vital Homes, I support continuing and expanding these efforts, encouraging accessory dwelling units, ADUs in residential neighborhoods with dedicated parking. Utilize existing town-owned lands to reduce the upfront housing costs, for example, Fox Bend and Peaks at Palliser Lands. Have the CCH Canmore Community Housing product generate revenues through sales or rent to sustain the housing program. Federal and provincial grants must also be maximized and pursued. The goal is to expand affordable and workforce housing options without sacrificing community character. The ability to contribute town-owned land to financially model for affordable housing is critical. In my opinion, a long-term sustainable business case that is financed by capital markets, such as the Peaks at Palliser, is critical for the town and the occupants of affordable housing.
Laura, over to you.
Okay, remember when we lived in Banff and we were living in staff comm? Staff comm might be a solution for the young people, which would take a lot of young people out of, 4 young people out of a 2-bedroom apartment that's being rented to 4 young people right now that had options staff comm. We don't do that here. Oh, base camp, actually, they take care of their people great. They have homes, places to stay. I remember when Canadian Tire was coming to town and they were gonna put staff comm upstairs. I believe they were building it and then they said, nah, we don't want it anymore. We're not in the real rental game. We don't do that. What if we looked at the builders of, what about the IGA that's going out in Three Sisters Mountain Village? Where all those staff gonna live? See where I'm coming from? I'm coming from the people that really work here.
Thank you. Ed, you're up.
I find the problem with affordable housing. At one point, I don't know if it's still in place, that we were talking affordable housing is a fixed rate 20% below market value. That's not really a sustainable situation. Now we need to look at, we're short of land here, no question, but there's empty land. We need to get onto it. We need to pursue the province and say, give us some land, buy it, and let's make it real. But we need more space. We need to build a little bit of community. Possibly we need to revisit the municipal development plan to consider, instead of some of these beautiful, fantastic homes, how about something slightly laid back, a little more moderate, and whether we set it in its own community or not. That would be a decent starting point. And then I kind of go back, I'm showing my age, but Larch was built on a program called Forgivable Mortgages through the province, and it was successful. Got a lot of people into homes, and the community has stayed stable, solid, and very good. It was, my understanding was it was ended due to administrative burden. Let's go back to it because CCH is now a pretty big corporate group. And just make sure apparently the project that we're doing in Mustache Lands is slated to be headed by the YWCA. Are we providing that for Canmore, or are we providing that for the Valley? Thank you.
Jonathan, can you close this question out for us?
Thank you. Housing, affordable housing and livability is one of my top concerns in this area. We already have one of the highest rents here in Canada, or at least Alberta, than anywhere else. And we are developing affordable housing currently. But for our needs, how much we need for the future, I would suggest we go go slowly on this to make sure what we're doing and that we don't overdevelop. However, to support developers for affordable housing, I believe we can offer a self-tax for affordable housing in exchange for a reduction in rent. Now, I think they don't have to reduce rent, and even if they reduce rent by 25-30% or so, the high rent that we're charging, they will make a profit. I understand that Canmore is providing millions of dollars perhaps in grants and loans to affordable housing developments. I kind of question whether or not we need to do that. Another thing, which was mentioned already, would be staff housing. That's critical. And like was already mentioned, Bed Springs Hotel, they have the staff accommodations. And they're very small units. They charge about $500 per month for rent. So businesses here in Canmore can combine, produce some affordable housing, and I think they can make a profit on that. So I think staff housing is something that we can help to support here in the area. Thank you.
Jen, Javon, Rob, and Laura, this next question is for you. Canmore Hotel and Lodging Association asks, the hospitality industry in Canmore depends on a diverse workforce, including many international workers. However, employers continue to face significant challenges in securing labor market impact assessments, or LMIA-approved foreign worker visas, which are essential to filling critical staffing gaps. What is your position on supporting local businesses and navigating these challenges, and how will you work to ensure Canmore remains a welcoming and inclusive community for the foreign workers who live here? This question will start out with Jen.
Thank you. I was really happy to see this question posed in this forum. It's a complex question, and it's a significant topic for our valley. I actually am close to finishing a graduate diploma in immigration law through Queen's School of Law, so I've been immersed in the world of LMIAs and foreign workers for the last 10 months or so. It's critical that we support our employers to hire foreign workers. They are a very important part of our community, and it's also critical that we support those foreign workers before they come to Canmore, while they're in Canmore, and if they want to stay in Canmore as well. So we know that it's more difficult to get visas to come to Canada. It's more difficult to extend visas as well. So I think we need to look at ways to helping employers as well as those individuals who are supporting our community to be successful in regards to foreign workers. There are a couple of organizations that we can work with, settlement services and immigration organizations in the Bow Valley. So I think we need to look at how we can support those organizations to ensure that the supports are in place for the employers who need and want those foreign workers in the community. And then, like I said, those foreign workers themselves who are part of our community.
Javon, you're up next.
This issue is personal to me because I was once a foreign worker myself and has seen all the pillars of immigration. And I think when we look at this issue for supporting foreign workers in the Bow Valley, it has to be a collaborative work. It's not just a town of Canmore. Everyone who benefits from foreign workers, they should be at the table. And one thing is really important to recognize that foreign workers are not here just to fill jobs. They're also here, they're part of our community. They strengthen our community's vibrancy and overall health. So LMIA itself is not a municipal jurisdiction. It's something that being controlled by the federal government. But what town of Canmore could do is work very closely with the immigrant serving agencies, Bow Valley Immigration Partnership Settlement Services, and we also have people from CCIS from Calgary. Work closely with them, make sure that the resources are available not only for workers but also the businesses so that they can take advantage of these resources we have. I also wanted to say that there's also inclusion charter, Bow Valley inclusion charter that the town of Canmore is part of, and I would recommend every single business, if they're not on it yet, to sign it to make sure that their businesses are inclusive workplaces for immigrants. Thank you.
Rob, you're up.
International workers are essential to Canmore's hospitality and service sectors. I rely on them with my own business and in the businesses I'm involved with now. And I know firsthand how vital they are to keeping our economy and community running. The challenge is that LMIA rules are often shaped and informed in Ottawa, but our needs are real and genuine here. Locally, we must strengthen our networks with settlement services in the Bow Valley, the Job Resource Center, Bow Valley Immigration Partnership, Bow Valley Refugee Project, the Filipino organizations, the Rocky Mountains, and the Family and Community Support Services, ensuring workers feel welcome and included. At the same time, Council must work with other resort municipalities, Banff and Jasper, to lobby the provincial and federal governments so the policies they create reflect the realities of resort communities like ours.
Laura, if you would close this question out for us.
Well, I have to tell you, I have not much experience with the LMIA. But as long as it is a federal government organization, I think what Rob said makes complete sense with working more with local agencies than anything that has to do with the federal government. But as long as we give them a house while they're working for us, yay, staff at home.
Thank you, everyone. Now it is time to take questions from the floor. As mentioned, we're using the tool called Slido, where you can take the photo of the QR code and plug your questions in. And we have a number of questions that have been populating as everyone has been going through the host partner questions. If you don't see a question up there that has been on your mind, put that puppy in there. But if you do see something that's in the same vein, just keep liking those to the top. And it looks like you've been doing a lot of hard work that way. Questions at the top of the list are most likely to be read. And please also ensure that the candidate's name is identified, as mentioned before. And for the less technical way, we do still have the paper trail that we can use at the back corner table. So we are going to go with Kevin's question first. Incumbents and challengers, so we are going to have to identify a candidate for this question. What are your plans and ideas to make Canmore a financially viable place for young families to relocate and live? Kevin, do you have a name for us? If not, I can randomly assign it, no problem at all. Why don't we go with our mayoral candidate for this one, Ed?
I want to start off with the fact that out of my daughter's graduating class, there's just about nobody who still lives here from 2016. We need to get housing available. I gotta go back to what I said earlier. We gotta get something, however we get out of the blocks, whether we jump in Mr. Carney's area where he's talking prefab homes, whatever. We gotta make it affordable. We gotta get the wages up. The last figure that was around here was $38 plus for an hour for living wage. Not many people are getting that. If we don't start at that level, whether we reduce taxation or however we get it going, we're educating people to live elsewhere. So first off, I believe redevelop some version of housing, not just staff at home, redevelop livable communities, encourage young families not to move to Cochrane. I'm tired of hearing everybody, I'm going to Cochrane because that's the only place I can afford. No, it's not acceptable. But housing is the first start. Get our cost of living. If it means reducing taxes and working the corporation on a lower budget, fair enough. But we need to get, that's our starting point. We can get costs down. The young ones can afford to stay here while they're building their careers and getting their credentials up to them.
And our next question is, do you support the livability tax? What additional solutions do you intend to push that will help solve our affordable housing, available housing issue? This was an undesignated question, so what we'll do is just move down our list with the first name, unless we have, it's anonymous, so I guess we're just gonna go that direction. Laura, would you mind responding to that?
Affordability tax. Well, I didn't agree with it until I heard Rob Murray's podcast. It just makes me not feel great about myself. Charging the people that don't live here extra money, but we can run across the highway to our affordable housing. I'd have to agree with.
And our next question, do you support the current plans to narrow Railway Avenue? We will have Jonathan answer this question.
No.
Oh my God.
You're talking about narrowing the Railway Avenue? Yeah, no, I think it's a big mistake. Here's why. Our population is expected to double by 2040. We need cars. Our population is aging. We can't just walk to downtown, stop off at a park, intersect Parkade. I think we need to keep that road open, and I think we need to be wary or to reduce reduce autos to and have an intersect Parkade intersect going downtown. I think we should have more free parking lots. I stand for being able to put Parkade downtown, and I'm also opposed to closing Main Street year round. One of the biggest reasons why I left Toronto to come to here is because Toronto is so congested with traffic. With our future growth, with with our hope for future more tourism, we need to make mobility a big issue, in my opinion. So we need to keep that mobility where possible. I think we need to build that parkade. I'm not opposed to narrowing Railway Avenue to 2 lanes. And I think autos, cyclists, and pedestrians can all live together, and we need to slowly plan on that to maintain mobility in Canmore. Thank you.
The next question says, 33% of Bow Valley residents are born outside of Canada, based on Stats Canada from 2021. How will you actively celebrate and support cultural diversity while tackling racism? Jen, if you would like to.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I think that the diversity of our community and of Canmore is really important, and I think is a core of who we are as Canmore. We've become a lot more diverse in recent years, and I think that embracing that and supporting all types of initiatives for different kinds of diversity is really important. There are a lot of community organizations that focus on different aspects of diversity. So the more that we can support those, I think the better we are as a community. And it might be financial, but I also think it's important to create space for those organizations as well. I think it's important to support them in any way that we can. So this summer I went to the Indigenous market, that was in front of the Civic Center, and there was some space that was made available for that. I think that's one way that we can support our cultural diversity and the initiatives that are coming forward. So really I think it's working with the organizations who are already focusing on that diversity and making sure that they are well supported so that they can do the work that they need to do, which adds to our community in Canmore.
Thank you, Jen. The next question says, Canmore can't continue real estate development into infinity. There has to be a time or a number to stop. When is that, or what is the population number in your opinion? Jalan, would you mind answering that question?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes.
Or elaborate?
As, I've only got what they provided, but I definitely can repeat it. Canmore can't continue real estate development into infinity. There has to be a time or a number to stop. When is that, or what is the population number in your opinion?
Great question. I think growth is inevitable. It's something that will be here, and so as a development, it's part of our economy and provides jobs. But I think the growth should be responsible. That should be done responsibly, and also respect our environment and wildlife. That being said, we don't have a lot of room left to build more. If we keep building, we will be pushing into wildlife corridors and eventually have the wildlife, pushed out, just like the people are being pushed out because of the work out there. I think it's always important and smart land use rather than sprawl. That will help with the development and with the growth. I don't have a number off the top of my head to provide right now, but I think that's something that we should focus infill, smart land use, and also density bonusing, and gentle density as well. There are a few ways we can tackle this issue, but it has to be done thoughtfully and wisely.
Thank you. The next question reads, how will you work with the provincial government to replace the livability tax with something that does not unjustly and unfairly target secondary homeowners? Rob Seeley, do you mind answering that question for us?
I would love to answer that question. When we look at the resort municipality status, I think if that's a challenge, we can't do livability, and I think it's too aggressive right now. We need to get money from somewhere else. We are a tourist municipality. We can only collect money from our permanent residents. So the non-permanent residents, we don't get grant funding for. So that's a challenge. So we have a lot of arguments for the resort municipality status. At one time, we had the education cap, and I think it's worth looking at that and positioning that with the government as well. And there's likely some other tools to be explored, but Canmore is the jewel in the Rockies. So we have the government's attention, and it's a great place for the government to invest, so we just need to explain that. But livability tax, it's It's just too much. And it could be a tool, but it's we're charging too much right now for it. So, that's my answer.
This next question just got bumped up quite a bit. Canmore train location study 2 years ago had about 4 potential sites. The train's coming faster than expected. Ed Russell, can you comment on that? For sure. Canmore train study location study that, sorry, the Canmore train location study that occurred 2 years ago had 4 potential sites. The train is coming faster than expected. Can you comment on that?
With what I know about the training situation, I'm surprised that people are saying it's coming faster than expected because it seems to be very controversial and it's out there. If they've identified sites, terrific. I grew up here, the right where Elevation Place was used to be a train station. It's kind of cool to pick a train up in Olympic from Canmore. But I go back to a study that's probably 15 years old now. That they were, at that time, they were talking $1 million a kilometer to build a train. I don't know what the updated figure is, but I bet you it's a whole lot higher than $1 million a kilometer to put it in. So I'm just not sure. The train may be on the table for a long time yet to come.
We're also getting a big bump up right now with another question that looks to be requested across the board. So we do have enough time to entertain that. This goes back to the livability tax again, and things are moving around, so just bear with me as I relocate that question. Okay, so we have Rob Seeley who already answered this question, so Rob will give you another question afterwards. But Laura Finley, if you can comment on, do you support the livability tax? What additional solutions do you intend to push that will help solve our affordable housing or available housing problems?
I actually answered that one a little bit earlier when I admitted that I thought it was a good idea. Because I saw.
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay, that's okay. Rob Murray is rather persuasive. If you listen to his podcast, you can get on board. Other than that, I mean, without getting the government involved, we have to find the money. We have money. We just have to find it.
Jonathan, we're going to move over to you to answer this question next.
Thank you. So as far as the tourism, livability tax goes or vacant home tax, I'm opposed to it. And the reason being, I don't know if I own a vacant home, I don't know if anybody does really, but I'm opposed to it because it's unfair, I believe, to triple the amount of taxes on vacant homes for people who don't live here. There are people too, and they're not all rich. And I just think it's unfair, especially when they use less services. So to replace that, we can have a tourism levy for one thing, to help put towards affordable housing. Another thing is, I believe I already mentioned, we could have a property tax subclass to reduce taxes for affordable living development. So that's my stand. I just am not really in favor of affordability tax because on principle, it just doesn't sit right with me. So that's how I feel. Thank you.
Jen, would you mind jumping in on this one too?
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion, obviously, about the livability tax, also known as the vacancy tax. And I've heard a lot of concerns from people in the community. There's a few things going on right now. So there's a property tax task force that has been created that's going to be convened in November. It's going to look at the property taxes, the rates, the subclass that was created. I think that group needs time to do their work and make recommendations to the new council. It's also in front of the Court of Appeal, so I think that we need to wait until that decision is made to see where that lands. So I would propose that implementing it for the next tax year is probably too early. I think the new council needs an opportunity to review those recommendations from the task force and to look at options, and that would give them a little bit more time to do that. As far as alternatives go, I think that we need to, in addition to pursuing municipal resort status, remove barriers for private businesses who have solutions for affordability and for providing employee housing. I think we also need to leverage the ideas from the community. We have a lot of very intelligent, very knowledgeable, experienced people in our community, and I think we really need to give them an opportunity to share what their ideas are so that we can come up with a collaborative solution to address affordable housing without it necessarily just targeting one portion of our community.
Thank you, Javon. Would you like to add anything?
Oh, yeah. Vacancy tax, it's not the perfect tool we have, but I think right now, I've done a lot of reading on it. But I think right now it's the only tool we have in our toolbox, and until it's been approved that we can use it to generate revenue, I think that's the only thing we have at this time. And I wanted to clarify one thing. I hear a lot about municipal resort status. Municipal resort status started in BC to support the tourism infrastructure, not to support housing. And I think we need to be able to make that distinction, because if we really want to solve our housing problem, we have to come up with a different plan, not the municipal resort. I know that we could potentially use some of the dollars from that municipal resort tax, but it's not necessarily the solution for our housing at this point. There are a lot of different ways we can tackle the issue. Really expanding the non-market housing with the CCH, and also incentivizing secondary suites. We could also look into streamline the approval process for new projects that add affordable units, and also I would advocate for co-ops working together with our businesses to provide opportunities for our businesses.
Thank you. We have one final question that we will give to Rob Seeley because we've already answered the other question. Sorry about that. We are crunched for time, but yes, you can. If you want to, we can give you a 60-second response.
Thank you. Short and sweet, no, I don't support it one bit. I did support it in 2007 when it was brought to council as the primary residence rebate program. It's not the way to go at this. We are crunched, we need money, no question. So why don't I would suggest that the first go forward is let's get a concentrated effort on the government in Edmonton, because when I hear people from Toronto talking about that, come to Alberta, it's a great place that they're seeing in Toronto transit cars. And then when I hear all the ads, come to Alberta, or come to Canmore, Calgary's backyard, they're inviting everybody over to come to our house, and no one's wearing a burger, no one's offering to help us pay for the burgers and help buy a beer or drink for anybody. We need to do better with it. The government needs to step up the plate with our encouragement.
Thank you for your patience, Rob. The last question asks, some candidates are promising to freeze taxes. Can you explain any spending or budget cuts that you would propose?
That's an interesting question. Budget cuts. Well, reviewing what you're doing and making sure everything lines up. I don't have anything specific. Livability tax, look at that and trying to bring in money other ways. So that's it.
Thank you. Folks, we are now at our intermission. We've got 10 minutes to go and refill, move around, and we will see you back here at 5:10.
Precious cargo.
Yeah. Just to stop?
Sorry?
Just to stop or?
Yeah, it's stopped right now, but I'll resume it once intermission's done.
I can't end the stream because then Wi-Fi is good. Okay.
Still busted?
Yeah, no, now it's okay. But I'm just open, keep open.
Okay, well, if it drops again, like we can tether the laptop to like a hotspot.
Yeah, but now is the Wi-Fi is guest over there, but it's very unstable.
Yeah, so we can tether it to a hotspot, and that would be a lot more stable. Like a hotspot off your phone.
It's okay because sometimes hotspot is unstable. Now it's okay.
Just the panic.
Oh my. All right. Okay. Okay. Hotspot is better.
It might be.
Okay.
And like if that continues to be unstable, then we can just hotspot
Now
it
it's
and try
okay.
it.
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just checking. Oh yeah. Now it's okay. The light. So now it's okay.
Yeah, that looks fine.
Just open. Not close. I don't want to interrupt.
It ain't broken right now, so we don't need to fix it.
You sit down.
Oh, if I sit down, I'm gonna pass out. That's not feeding power. That's off.
Oh.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, I'm standing here.
Yeah, that's gotten kicked one too many times. No more. Sorry, one more time. Like podcast? What? Oh, I like that song. I don't get to have an opinion. I don't get to vote. I live in Cochrane. I can't vote in.
Oh.
I think so, yeah. Like I only moved less than a month ago. I haven't even had time to like register. was 4 candidates in Cochrane.
Oh, mayor?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I wanted to ask, are you guys live streaming? Oh, you are live streaming.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just like in front of the camera.
live stream.
Okay. So where is the live stream?
Rocky Mountain our YouTube.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let my friends know. Okay.
If you say hello for your friend. Yeah, so
Kind of.
kind of so now is the right
Yeah, so basically, like, what we've been doing at Trello lately is, like, Jordan has to kind of create everything by himself and do everything manually. Yeah.
no. Oh, yeah.
Well, I can see those. See ya.
Now is the 40, right?
Yeah, we're on 40.
No, where is 40?
So it's in kind of a weird spot. If you go into RMO Newsroom, yeah. Bye-bye.
Oh! Oh!
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Jordan has had to like go in by himself and like migrate everything over every week. Yeah.
Ask the people here if they have one of those plastic things running cord.
Yeah, the covers.
Yeah. Scott Rowland was talking about you the other day. He's doing a good job. Things I told somebody at the outlet to see if they could get somebody to put over that so it doesn't fall. Does they have to put the lease on there?
No.
Oh. I own that.
Hey, Stu. How are you?
You said it earlier. It's somewhere on.
Back to your seats. Welcome.
Yeah. Oh, did I hit it this time? Oh, wait.
Thank you to those who found their seats. Please keep making your way. Okay. We now have the opportunity for those who are hoping to retain their seats on council to provide their opening remarks. Each candidate has 90 seconds to let the audience know who they are, what specific skills they bring to the table, and what their top priorities are should they be elected. We'll move through the candidates in order of alphabetically first name. And beginning with mayoral candidate, then we'll move through the council candidates, and I'll call each of you in. Sean,
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, I'm Sean Krauser. I bring a depth and breadth of experience in seeking re-election as mayor of Canmore. Janet and I have lived in Canmore for almost 30 years. We raised a family here. Building on political science and law degrees, my professional experience includes a lawyer, social justice advocate, and a businessman. I've held various executive level positions in the not-for-profit, for-profit, and public sectors. In addition, I have nearly 10 years experience on council, twice elected as councillor, and 1 term as mayor. I'm campaigning on the continuation of the important work that the current council started in order to protect our community. We have fostered the conditions for 2,000 units of new non-market housing being built by the early 2030s to address our housing crisis. I want to move towards fruition. Further, we've made huge strides in wildfire mitigation and emergency preparedness, and this work must continue to keep residents, visitors, and property as safe as possible. Other priorities include enhancing our coexistence with wildlife, increasing public transit, nurturing an inclusive community, supporting a strong economy, and continuing to build relations with our Indigenous neighbors. I envision Canmore as a thriving, authentic mountain community for generations to come. You can find my full resume and platform at seankrauser.ca, and on October 20th, please re-elect Sean Krauser as your mayor.
Jeff Hillstead, you are up next.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Hillstead. I'm campaigning on a vision for a livable, sustainable, and family-friendly Canmore. A town that honors its roots while planning responsibly for the future. As a lifelong local, parent of 3, an active member of a family business, and a councillor since 2017, I bring a deep personal commitment to this work. I understand the challenges and opportunities the community faces because I live them every day. Raising my family here, contributing to our business, and engaging with neighbors across town. Some of my priorities include advancing further attainable housing and strong neighborhoods, championing fiscal responsibility and evidence-based decision-making, supporting environmental stewardship and responsible development, ensuring that Canmore remains welcoming, connected, and a vibrant place for generations to come. What makes me a strong candidate is my balance of collaborative leadership and my real community experience. I bring a thoughtful voice to council, one that listens, builds bridges, and makes decisions grounded in critical thinking and long-term sustainability. Canmore is my home. I'm running for re-election to keep working hard for this community, because it's the community that I know and love, and to help shape a future that we can all be proud of. In the city with all these forms, if you ever want help, 403-678-7734.
Jeff Meyer, you're up next.
Hello. Hi, my name is Jeff Long, and I'm running for re-election. Before I tell you more about myself, I'll tell you a little story. This past summer, I was in the car with my youngest daughter, she's 10 years old, and she was really upset. And the reason why she was upset was her best friend was having moved out of Canmore. And her parents had great jobs. One was an engineer, the other was a teacher. And then in our conversation, we were talking more, and I asked her to count how many of your friends have left. And she ran out of fingers pretty soon. And so that's kind of why I'm here. A little bit about myself. I'm a family man. I'm the owner of a local business here on Main Street, the Yoga Lounge, and I'm a passionate Canmorite. My vision of Canmore is one of kindness, diversity, and inclusivity, where we have a thriving middle class that can set down roots and make this place even better. I have a background in mechanical engineering, 20 plus years of teaching and holding space for communities. I'm known for open-hearted, analytical, thoughtful approach to decision making. And the only problems we have left facing our community now are wicked ones, challenging problems with no clear solution. We have to try our best. That's what I'm here for. Thank you.
Karen Mara, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody that organized this. I'd like to thank all my fellow candidates that feel that the job is important enough to step up and serve the community. And I also would like to, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm I'd like to thank you for all showing up because it shows how engaged our community is. And engagement is great because that's how we find out what our community is thinking. So I'm going to give you a little bit about me. I've been in the Bow Valley more than 50 years, 50 of it in Canmore. I won't add the other numbers because you'll know how old I am. Together with my husband, Phil, we have raised 2 children and they are raising 5 grandchildren of ours that have had the luxury of living and staying in town. As a teenager, parent, grandparent, and caregiver to aging parents and a business owner, I've seen our town grow from less than 2,000 to more than 16,000. I have seen, lived, experienced all these changes along the way. With all the changes, I believe that Canmore is the best place to live. During my time in council, I have had the opportunity to serve on many boards and committees and have thoroughly enjoyed that part of my term on the council. This is my second term that I will be ending here. And advocating and enhancing programs for the community as a whole. As a councilor, I will continue to work hard to build a strongly connected, vibrant community where families, businesses, and future generations can survive. I lead with heart, collaboration, and time. My apologies. Thank you.
Tanya Colbert, please go ahead.
Thank you for being here today. My name is Tanya Colbert, and I'm asking for your support to vote for me on October 20th to re-elect me to Town Council. As a candidate for council, I bring a unique background to the table. Not only am I a former award-winning journalist and editor of the local newspaper for 20 years, but I'm the second of 3 generations of my family to be born and raised here. I've seen some things. I've seen the population of Canmore double more than twice in my lifetime, and I expect to see it happen again. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't scare me, and I'm not afraid, and I'm not here to engage in the politics of division and fear. What I'm here to do is be a leader for the future of our community, because we need leaders at the table who are able to who thrive in some complexity, leaders who are able to understand the difference between safeguarding and making decisions in the public interest, and leaders who welcome various perspectives at the table and not only listen to them, but take the time to understand them. I am that leader. My platform are things that I will fight for at the council table over the short, medium, and long term. My motto and my approach to governance is to be the best at getting better. Go to my website, tanyafulbear.com, sign up for my newsletter, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Let's stay connected during the campaign and afterwards. Stay curious and vote for Tanya.
Wade, you're up next.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you all for being here. My name is Wade Greer. I paddle these rivers, climb these mountains, and bike these trails of the Bow Valley.
I've sat in boardrooms and Senate chambers and humble cafes to advocate on your behalf. I'm a successful small business owner that understands the struggles of that endeavor. I've talked with you in person and online. Maybe you've shared something from your garden with me. Maybe I've shared an steak with you or some honey or a song. I am who I am, and each and every day I become more humbly confident in that fact. I have always and will always be a passionate, effective, and honest advocate for this community. I've told the truth, whether you or I have liked it. I know that some of you had your doubts about my ability to be an effective elected official. I'd like to think over the past 4 years, I've earned your respect, your trust, and your confidence. I've set my pride and ego aside when necessary. I've listened with an open and empathetic mind and heart. I have built and fostered relationships and skills to be a successful and authentic, transparent way. I'm a fighter, but I'm also a bridge builder. Ask the doubters and the people that work with me directly. Ask them who can get the job done, who tirelessly puts the interest of this town first and foremost every time. Ask them who they are voting for, and I'll bet my name comes from their lips.
Thank you to everyone for your introductions. The questions submitted by our host organizations will now be asked. As before, there will be a select number of candidates who will respond to each question, allowing for an equal number of questions to be distributed to each candidate. Candidates, you'll have a maximum of 90 seconds to respond. That could have been trouble. Partner questions to candidates will be handled in alphabetical order based on last name. Sean Wade, Jeff Milstead, this next question is for you. The Bow Valley Builders and Developers Association asks for a corporation, this is a repeat of the first question to the challengers, for a corporation with over 200 employees, a $40 million annual capital budget, and a $100 million operating budget, how often do you believe a third-party review of its overall function should be conducted and why? Sean, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And just for the record, depending on the season, it's actually over 400 employees. Every year we have some form of review. We have an annual budget process that's open to the public and streamed. We have an annual audit process, which the town always does really well on. We have asset management. We have continuous adaptation as new practices and regulations emerge. And we have a biannual resident satisfaction survey. So even with all of that, yes, it is important that we do an overall organizational review. The last one we did was in 2018. This led to a business transformation project, moving basically from small town processes to basically small city processes. That's being implemented right now. I believe that such a review should happen at least every 10 years. And so we support another overall function review this coming term of council, definitely by 2028, as that would be the 10-year mark of the last.
Wade, you're up next.
Thank you. Yes, I also believe that there should be an annual review, a business review done once a term. Preferably at the first or second year, depending on the council that's sitting there. If you've got a very new council, you probably want to let them get through their first budget and service level review first, and then have a look at business reviews after that. And then on an as-need be basis as well. If there are lots of things that need to be addressed, maybe you want to look at that. If growth is significant, maybe you want to look at that. But I've also come to know that we've got an administration that is incredibly competent and does a lot of good work. Not perfect. None of us are. None of those organizations will be. But they do good work. If I didn't have confidence in them, we would do this on a much more frequent basis. But I do. Like the mayor said, we do an annual budget, we do an annual audit, and the last one was done in 2018. So we are definitely due for a business review.
Jeff Milstead, and you're up next.
Thank you. So when I got this question, I looked and I wasn't able to find any examples of municipalities in Alberta conducting full third-party review of their overall function. Of course, there's always reviews of specific sections of municipality and different reviewers within that. again, typically, it's stated multiple times, every municipality in Alberta has to submit annual audited financial statements and annual financial information returns. So every year we're doing that, and it's just a requirement. So that always is a review. And in Canmore, we have transparent finance committee meetings that are open to the public during all of our budgeting processes. And as we say, in 2018, the 10 county did conduct a third-party organizational review that resulted in meaningful change. There was some restructuring within the organization. We adjusted how council meetings were done to be more efficient, not just for the staff, but just for council in general. Back in the day, we're doing 3 meetings a month at 5 p.m. to whenever it is ended. And more recently, we've begun a service level review to evaluate how resources align with our community priorities. So while I don't know exact timelines, again, we've heard from different ones already, I'm always open to considering when there's a clear, purposeful, and clear benefit to those community or to those third-party reviews, especially as our community continues to grow and evolve. Continuous improvement matters. Continue to support tools, internal and external, that help ensure the town's functioning effectively, transparently, and stuff with communities.
Gemma, Karen, and Tanya, this next question is yours. Innovate Canmore asks, do you consider it a viable proposition to encourage the implementation of an economic diversification strategy that nurtures the development of policies, incentives, and actionable items to attract, support, and retain high-value, non-tourism related enterprises, such as innovative technology businesses or knowledge worker entrepreneurs, meaning those from the digital gig economy? If so, how do you envision this being accomplished during the next 4-year term of council? We will start with Gemma.
Thank you, Wanda. I'm definitely in support of diversification. Anytime we diversify our economy, that's amazing. If you just look down the highway, stay down in Cochrane, they have the headquarters of Garmin. So they do GPSs, a super technical hub. And I was like, why is Garmin in Cochrane and not in Canmore? I think in terms of moving into that direction where we'd have some sort of tech hub like that, we do need to continue to work with our amazing team at economic development, keep pursuing ways to expand. And then also, continue doing various policies. We maintain our light industrial as council, so we actually have a place for these businesses to come in. But having also said that, I think one of the challenges is someone wants to work in one of these new diversified economy jobs in our community, housing. So we really need to keep pushing for housing. We can't expect to bring people here without giving them a place to be. Thank you.
Karen, you're up.
Thank you. Currently, the town of Canmore has an economic development strategy. It's still relevant. It was been going since 2020 to 2025 is when it's due to be renewed. During the next term of council, it will come up for review, and then it will be updated at that time, and with more things added from what we've done during this stage. Currently, it focuses on a triple line, bottom line approach to tourism, sustainable growth through economic, environmental, and social well-being. I envision continued support for the programs and supports that our economic department currently offers, supporting our entrepreneurs. During my term on council, there was a review of our economic diversity, and they said we were one of the main communities our size, and we were very diverse. I know that we've had some attention or thought process into how we could house or where we could put some, including medical technology. We tend to overlook different sides of it. I know there was a doctor in the valley that had invented a particle or an instrument for knee replacement. But when we grow, we have to think about what other things. Where are workers going to live, and can they afford to? So bringing in technologies and employment that is paying good jobs. So I will continue to support that.
Tanya, you're up.
Thank you for this question. And so this one is a bit of a thinker because the economic diversification strategy is a 2020 to 2025 plan. And by focusing on supporting and retaining high value added non-tourism related enterprises like knowledge worker, innovation technology businesses, in order to do that, we would need to invest a lot of money into incentivizing or attracting those businesses to our community. And I'm not sure that's a priority. I think we already have a thriving economy, a thriving tourism-based economy. And I think that when I look at places like Whistler went through an economic diversification strategy process where it decided, let's do one thing and do it really well. Let's not split our attention between multiple things and not support our industry and our workers. And I think it's important to understand too that tourism, there's no such thing as unskilled workforce. Our tourism industry is a skilled workforce. Why aren't we promoting more higher paid jobs and that industry as a viable future for people to have careers in? That to me is the future. And then high value added tourism related enterprises. And there's the economic diversification. I don't think that we have our focus on anything in this strategy yet. But if I'm at the table on the next council and participating in the next strategy, I hope we will.
Wade, Jeff Hillstead, Jeff Ma, and Karen's next question is for you. Tourism Canmore Kananaskis asks, Canmore generates about 3 times the tax revenue of similar sized communities and has the lowest property taxes per capita in Alberta, largely due to our visitor economy. Can you point to specific budget decisions or votes that you have supported, which reinvested this tourism revenue to strengthen both Canmore's tourism industry and the quality of life of our residents? Can you include some concrete examples, such as infrastructure, amenities, or programs that you have supported? Wade, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I don't know that we actually have the lowest taxes per capita. The lowest mill rate is something we do, and that is very, very different. To support our industries, housing is the key aspect. And this council championed the Palliser lands, puts 1,300 units of non-market housing into the community. I'm a small business owner. I know the challenges of hiring folks that maybe last 6 months, a year, maybe a few years at best, and then they have to move on because they can't afford to be here. This non-market housing is critical to the success of our community, the vibrancy of our community, and the wholeheartedness of who we are in this valley. If we are not successful, I am fearful of our future and what may come of us as a veteran community. The livability tax was a key decision point for funding this affordable housing. We continue to invest in Rome. We put in an e-bike rebate for people from the affordability program so that they could get to where they need to be. And pedestrian zone was a great place for cultural diversity and economic activity.
Jeff Hillstead, you're up next.
So one very concrete example, pun fully intended, is the Coop Creek flood retention structure. A lot of concrete rock into that, but it provides protection for residents, critical infrastructure, and the key corridor that visitors and locals rely on to access Canmore and the Blue Valley. It's a clear case of investment that supports public safety, economic resilience, and tourism access all at once. Tourism is a vital part of Canmore's economy. The reality is, nearly every budget we pass reinvests revenue into infrastructure, services, and amenities that benefit both the residents and visitors. They're intertwined. So some specific examples would be like active transportation projects, upgrades to trails, expanded multi-use pathways, improved safety, year-round connectivity, and accessibility for everyone, from daily commuters to weekend warriors exploring on the bike. Public transit enhancements. We supported Rome transit service, including extending the hours, new routes, fare-free service. This helps reduce traffic congestion, supports sustainable visitor movement, and gives residents a reliable, affordable alternative to driving. And yes, we still need to drive cars. And I also support ongoing funding for Tourism Canmore Kananaskis, ensuring we continue to promote sustainable tourism and efforts to protect the environment and the community character that draw people in the first place. These decisions reflect a balanced approach to leveraging the benefits of tourism to build a community that works for the residents and continues to thrive as a world-class destination.
Jeff Ma, you're up.
Thank you, Wanda. Lots of examples here. First off, the housing piece is critical. If you don't have housing for workers or locals, It doesn't really get too far. So this council, we worked super hard. I'm on CCH. We got the Tarmac and Plank project. Occupancy is coming up shortly. That's the 18 lucky families that are actually open here in the Bow Valley. And we just broke ground on Palliser Lane, 100 Palliser Lane. That's in the Mustache Lands, 144 unit apartment building for rental. So that should go, it'll make a big dent. We always could do more. Our West Bow River pathway, we paved that, and so now the citizens and tourists enjoy year-round connectivity. People love it. We continue to fund a host of rec programs across 2 rec centers. In terms of other amenities, Quarry Lake, we invest in our playgrounds. You go to any of those places on the weekend, during the week, and there's tons of families from here and other places enjoying their time. Transit, we continue our best to expand it. This last year, we did a pilot project. We started running transit to more places, trying to get people to Quarry Lake. Grassy Lakes needed transit, and over time, we'll bring that line into more of a regular service. In terms of emergency response, which benefits our locals, we brought in the Voyant Alert app, so if you don't have that app, I highly recommend. And probably many of you have the Jasper wildfires last year online. We have done a ton of work with fire breaks, armoring our community so that our community can be resilient in the challenge of all that we face. Thank you.
Karen, can you close this question out for us, please?
Okay, thank you. A lot of it's already been said, and I'm going to reiterate some of it. I will just name a couple that come to mind right away. Number one is the funding that we've provided to TCK, the person who has asked this question in the group, for destination management. So we can manage our tourism people effectively. We have funded fare-free local transit, navigate all routes and extended hours of operation to accommodate safe mode transportation and support for workers with families that may not have a vehicle or other means of transportation. We have continued to invest in Elevation Place, a well-used facility by both visitors and our families here living in the valley. We have expanded vault washrooms in Quarry Lake, Riverside Park, flood retention project to protect our residents. There are a few that come to mind so that we can keep Canmore a special place to live and visit. So a lot of it's been already said, so thank you.
Sean, Tanya, Wade, and Jeff Halstead, this next question is for you. Labor shortages, let me back up. The Bow Valley Chamber of Commerce asks, labor shortages continue to impact Alberta businesses across sectors. How will you collaborate with post-secondary institutions, industry partners, and other levels of government to align workforce development with local economic needs? We will start out with Sean.
Yeah, thanks very much. I have to actually disagree with the premise of that question, that's the route we should be going. There's a public sector and private sector role we play with regards to attracting and retaining labor. From the town's perspective, it's been mentioned many times, and I think as every employer will tell you, the greatest challenge to attract and retain employees is the cost of living here, and that is mostly around housing. So with regards to housing, this council has done a lot of work. We've laid the foundation for what is going to be a 260% increase in affordable housing coming to fruition in the next 2 to 3 years compared to the start of our term. That's the Mustache Lands, that's 100 Palliser, that's Charlie Point, that's the approval of CRPS, that's the Spring Creek Manor, and a couple of others in the pipeline, as well as some private sector items coming on. We have to increase the affordability program, reducing costs for certain households. We've increased public transit and transit options. When I made a note to myself to make sure I answered my opponent's question here, yes, the Mustache Lands, even though run by the YWCA, will be for Canmore. The feds, they need to come up with supporting through the temporary foreign worker program, making some adjustments, and the private sector. And I really appreciate the work of the Tourism Industry Association of Alberta as they're redefining hospitality as a career that will attract and entertain people for much longer periods of time.
Thank you. Tanya, you're up next.
Thank you. And yes, labor shortages are a significant issue for our community. I agree with Mayor Krauser that workforce development and that kind of work, is that really within the municipal wheelhouse? But I then look at how the question terms it in the
Wade, over to you.
Thank you, Linda. I want to talk about the province for a bit. And as we know, there is a mandate to double tourism in the next decade. And yet, the funding for infrastructure through the MSI programs continues to decline on a regular basis. We are told that we need to tax more to build more infrastructure. We need to be working collaboratively with the Alberta government on real solutions. And for those folks talking about resort municipality status, we've been lobbying for 20 years for that type of solution. It is actually insane to keep going back to the table asking for that sort of structure. They have said no many, many times. Don't keep going looking for that piece. Provincial downloading onto municipalities is a very significant thing. About 25% of our budget is arguably the province's to pay for. We need to be working very collaboratively with the province to solve a lot of those problems. And I look forward to those conversations.
Jeff Elstead?
Yes, labor shortages are a real challenge. In collaboration with those secondary institutions, industry partners, and other local government, maybe one way to do it. But if we can't house the people that we're trying to attract, we can't retain those people. So we need to continue to invest in finding ways to bring more table housing to Canmore. Those things have to go hand in hand. If they don't, sure, we can attract a bunch of people that they're just going to leave. So while supporting those type of partnerships could be crucial, the main thing is we need to get places for people to live. We can make them more affordable. So that's going to be, those go hand in hand, and we can't do it without solving those foundational issues of affordability and having a place for people to actually live. Otherwise, there's just no point to go out and search for those people because they won't be able to stay here. So.
Jeff Ma, Karen, Sean, and Tanya, this is your next question. The Canmore Hotel and Lodging Association asks, how will you ensure better communication and collaboration, that's a very popular word tonight, between the town of Canmore and the hospitality industry on policies that impact tourism and business operations at a municipal, provincial, and federal level? Jeff Ma, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Monica. I think for this one, I think it'd be really helpful to form a working group and met up a couple times a year. We can figure out who wants to be at the table. Obviously, town of Canmore, administration, CHLA have a couple of delegates, TCK as well, plus some other stakeholders coming in. From there, we can hopefully lean on the connections with our MLA and your MP as well. By getting all those people at the table, we start talking, figure out what we have common goals, figure out where we can collaborate, and hopefully by meeting steadily, we actually cultivate relationships. And by growing those relationships steadily, I think that just naturally leads to the ability to work in harmony and move forward these various objectives. That's for sure. We can help these various businesses through CHLA, respond to changes in policy. There's always going to be changes in policy at all levels. The more nimble we can be, and the better our community can be. Thank you.
Karen, you're up next.
Thank you. Communication is one of the key goals that I've always run on. And I continue to run on, both with the communities as a whole and the business community and other levels of government. I know that as a councillor, I have always been open to meeting with any member of the business community and the community as a whole. I've told someone I have met with that I don't know what you need or what you're thinking unless you meet with me and let me know. Inform me. I'm not aware of the CCHL having a committee that would meet with or have someone to meet or make us aware of their board meetings. I'm willing to move this forward in the future, always willing to have open communication and advocacy for our business community and the community as a whole.
Sean, you are up.
Yeah, thanks. The question references municipal, provincial, and federal policy, but I'll just, of course, focus on municipal. And it would be helpful to know, and I'm open to having the discussion as to what policies are the ones that are causing concern that we'd like to be providing feedback on, because I don't know which ones those are. What I can say is that TCK and CHLA both represent the hospitality sector. And I know we get a lot of feedback from TCK. We do connect and collaborate with the business community through our economic development. That is what has created the Canmore Business Alliance that is actually putting on this forum today. TCK, the Downtown Business Association, and the Biosphere, they all have board positions for mayor or member of council. So that's one thing I put out there. CHLA would like to have somebody at their meetings to contribute. I'd be happy to do so, even if it's an informal thing. I'd be very happy to do that. I'm always open to giving the feedback and having the discussion. Of course, it is the responsibility of every citizen and every organization to also remain informed and to seek out the information and therefore speak up, as has been mentioned a number of times. Let us know if you have a concern, because we won't know otherwise.
Tammy, can you please close this question out for us?
Thank you for this question. I believe that the public participation policy is a space where council can do a lot of work in the next term, right off the bat, to make sure that we're setting up the next 4 years for success so that communication and collaboration is the best that it can be. Our public participation policy is where we get all the direction and all of the levels at which we collaborate. Do we consult? Do we inform? Do we engage? Right? What do those even mean? They are different levels of collaboration. And so I believe that this is a policy that we need to bring into the 21st century for Canmore today. And we need to make sure it's not just working for citizens, but it's also working for our industry groups and our nonprofit groups, so that when business is happening at the council table that affects you, you know about it in advance, and you've had an opportunity to be able to have a bit of an input into it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now it's time to take questions from the floor again. We will, of course, be using Slido. And that was a similar setup, and what I understand that we've done is we've retained a number of those questions. Those continue to be bumped up because so many were identified for both incumbent and for challengers. So if there's anything new, however, you know the process, scan the QR code and put things forward. Please keep bumping those items up. With regards to how we're going to be just, I guess, initiating this, we're going to actually take the first question and go right across the board because there's a request for all candidates. We, of course, have a finite amount of time. We've got you for another 40 minutes, but we do have the time to actually pull this one off. All candidates, do you support the livability tax? What additional solutions do you intend to push that will help solve our affordable housing, available housing issue? We will start with Sean.
Yes, I do support the livability tax. But I've said publicly, and I've said to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, we're not stuck on that solution if there's an equally viable, reasonable alternative. We don't have a lot of tools available to us. And we've tried a lot of things over the last 20 years, and we have small condos going for $900,000. We have manufactured homes selling for $1 million. So a lot of the tools that we had not worked because of the incredible desirability of this valley and the very limited footprint. So things are going to get expensive. We are open to other alternatives. If this is a way to get into some sort of a tourism-based community funding that we've been trying in different ways for 20 years, I'm happy to have that conversation. I've advised, spoken publicly that I am ready to meet again with the Minister of Municipal Affairs as soon as the election's over, if successful in retaining my seat. Whenever the minister wants, and however often he wants, I think that we can have a solution out there, but we need the tools. We do not currently have the tools available.
Tanya, your turn.
Thank you. The livability tax for me is not just what you do, it's how you do it. As a what, as a concept, as the ability to tax vacant homes, I think this is definitely a viable tax policy solution for our community. But in terms of how we do it, we gotta make sure that when we tax people, we are taxing with guardrails. There are reasonable amounts of money to tax people and increases. And I think that what we have seen in the Premier's mandate letter is a reaction at the provincial level to the size of the livability tax. And I think that that's something we need to move into the future with, and we have to address as a new council. We have to go back to the drawing board. I don't even know if we're gonna be, it may be that the province just takes it away from us completely. So what if we go back to the drawing board and we start having the conversations with the province that is being asked of us to have? And that is a really important process for us to go through. The livability tax isn't just the ability to leverage second homeowners, and there is some legitimate reasons to do that. But we gotta make sure that when we do that, we are not setting the tax rates in a way that is really onerous and debilitating on those people who have called Canmore home for however long they have.
Thank you, Tanya. Wade.
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely support the livability tax. However, as the mayor said, if there are other tools, and currently there are not, I'm very open to those. But at this point in time, this is the tool we have, this is the tool that we need to use. It has been taken to court, it has been, what's the word I'm looking for? Confirmed, thank you. At a moment there. Now, clearly the province is looking at Canmore as an example, and there's going to need to be some really hard conversations to happen. If they have other tools, I'm very, very much open to them. If the province wants to double tourism over the next while, we need infrastructure, and I can include housing in that infrastructure as to how the economic viability of this community depends on people having housing. We can't just sit back and watch what has been happening for way too long. We need to act boldly and have tough conversations with the province.
Jeff Elstead.
Yes, we all supported the livability tax. We voted for it. I continue to support it. Is it perfect? No. Was it the kind of last resort? Yes. We've been going through this for 20 plus years. Even those that I've been on council, like, this isn't, as Russell brought up, back in 2007, they looked at a program like this. Didn't go through then. Brought it in now because this is literally the last thing we can do to bring any kind of additional funds to help with the livability and the affordability of our town, and actually have it so that we can retain families and keep people here. The province hasn't given us any other options. We've wanted resort status for 20 plus years. sometimes, you start thinking, how many times do you go back, and that's what point is it just insanity? We're kind of got to that point, and that's why we made the tough decision to do this. Is it perfect? No. I fully expect that the task force is going to look at this, and there might be changes, or the province might just say no, and then we'll keep searching for those solutions. Problem is, we don't have a toolbox that has any additional tools, and we're so limited that we're basically just, it was a last resort, and unfortunately, yes, is it perfect? No, but that's what we got.
Jeff Ma?
Thank you, Wanda, and I am absolutely in support of the livability tax. A bit of backstory here. When we did this, we actually consulted the province. We knew that this could potentially be an issue. We said, this is what we're thinking of doing. What do you think? We took a look at the MGA, we had legal advice, and the province came back and said, you know what, that's totally within your purview. So that's what we did. We set the tax. And obviously there's a bit of a political blowback right now. The province is having second thoughts and wants to move the goalposts. We'll figure it out when we get there. But we have to remember, we're in a housing crisis right now. Our community is taking on water. I'm not really interested in rearranging deck chairs, okay, while the ship is sinking. Every time we wait, every year longer, there's more families that leave. And these are families that bring ideas and energy to our community. I also want to say, we have to spread the burden across the entire community. I don't necessarily think that's the best option either. I think a lot of the general populace is struggling under property taxes and raise everyone's to subsidize the second homeowners. That's a tough setup, I think, for a lot of people, especially going against what we're looking for, is to maintain affordability and livability for our residents. Thank you.
Karen, would you mind closing us out?
Thank you. I think a lot of it's already been said, but I do support the livability tax. I know that we've lobbied, and I've been part of it for the last 8 years with the province. I've met with ministers, and they just ended up talking about other things, so it's really disappointing. And seem to totally want to avoid it. I know this is like a starting point, and there's a lot that the task force may come up with, and I'd like to see as much energy against that has been against it put into helping us solve the problem, because it is our only tool. So if we have help from everybody in this room, anyone that has a second home, has an idea, give it to us. We're willing to address it, take it to the next level. We did have, the province did review already and put it under a microscope and said, yes, it was in our purview. So we moved forward with it. Also knowing, I support also knowing that that number, the percentage that's being applied, spread over all of the community is a big expense. But also knowing that that number can change. And I'm waiting for the results from the task force. So, and if you ever have any tools, just let us know.
Thank you, everyone. So we have another repeat question that was socialized in the first round. We're going to bring it back for this one. We are going to do a full sweep. I'm going to do a randomized approach, so we're not going straight down the line. We get a little bit of energy to kind of keep us going, because we've all been sitting for standing for a while here. The question that we're going to have a repeat on is, do you support the current plans to narrow Railway Avenue? We're going to start out with Tammy Flaubert.
Okay, so if I had some visuals, I could bring up for you a diagram that shows that what is actually proposed for Railway Avenue is not what people or anybody has been telling you that it is. Right now, the intersection at the A&W only allows one lane of traffic to flow down Railway Avenue into the downtown. We want to limit how many cars go downtown so that we can manage traffic and congestion. This is a faucet. We have already done that with the intersection. We don't need 2 lanes going downtown. There will be a turn lane in the middle and then 2 lanes leaving the downtown. 2 lanes leaving the downtown. Why? Let's get as many cars out as fast as we can. That's how I understand the plan. That's not what I understand people talking about. But we are going to be updating our integrated transportation master plan in the next year or 2. That is exactly where all of this stuff is contained. And that is where you care about Railway Avenue. You care about how we manage traffic, parking, people, scooters, bikes, all of it. That's the conversation I want to have. And that's part of my platform. Thank you.
Thank you for raising the energy. We're going to head over into the ladies first.
I tend to be the quiet one in the group. When this transportation plan was being developed, I did have a lot of concerns. And as I move along, I still have concerns. I think, knowing that we are going to be revisiting and a new council will be looking and possibly updating, I have suggested and did suggest during my term to the engineer at that time, different possibilities that could be done. So I'm willing to have a look at that area again before it moves forward. I know that we have our experts that go through there because I know there's been safety concerns about fire access for people, emergency evacuation concern for people. So I'm willing to have a look at that again. And like I say, I have like to have the conversation again. I like to think that people's minds are like parachutes. They only work if they're open.
Yeah, really, if anyone remembers the first time it was brought forward, it was even weird. So, and council at that time actually requested that before we did any actual paving, that it came back to council. And so then we brought back the plan. All the changes. This is something that we continue to look at. And again, this is no, but we're not Calgary where you buy a bunch of property on the sides and then put 4 more lanes in. We have limited space. We have to try to find the most efficient way to use it to get the most people moving throughout the corridor. And sometimes actually having bike lanes and things does improve that. Again, we also have to realize not everyone can bike. A lot of people still need to drive. So it's never been a thing of we're trying to ban cars. It's been we're trying to improve it so that you have options. If you want to walk, you can actually walk. Walking down railway on the left-hand side is terrible. Like, especially if there's any water on the road. The amount of times you can get sprayed is just horrible. So again, if we actually improve railway, that's not going to happen. You'll have space to actually walk, actually bike, and it'll actually be better. Again, is the plan perfect right now? Maybe not, but I'm definitely open to seeing what changes can be made to make it better. But again, and also, if you ever try to get a elevation place, right now it doesn't work. This new plan would make that way better. So, but again, changes can be made.
Sean, next.
There's been a lot of good answers here, so I don't want to repeat too much, but I do want to reiterate that the amount of flow going into downtown is actually the amount of flow that's coming out of that intersection. So there's no reduction there. We don't need that second lane. The amount coming out of downtown will still be 2 lanes. And there'll be a turning lane before that, which are going to get into elevation place, because that is currently a backup. So there's those things happening. Add a couple of new things here. One, the road has to be ripped up. Why? Because we have to replace the pipes underneath. So it's going to happen. We have to do that. You might hear the issue in Calgary with old pipes. Well, we don't want that in Canmore. So we have to rip up roads every so often to replace the pipes. When we put it back together, we try to put it back better so that it can better handle the load that's coming into downtown. We did find that with our transportation mobility shift that's happening, once again, it's not about banning cars, but it's about increasing the options available for people who can use other options. And in doing so, we actually get more people moving because we are going to have more people moving. And these solutions are actually to get more people where they want to go, however they want to go.
Wade, please.
Thank you. I remember when this plan was coming forward, and I had my doubts. And shortly thereafter, my son and one of his friends and I went for a bike ride down the highway, and heading out of downtown towards the intersection. It was terrifying. I actually stopped, walked back to Home Harbor, crossed the street, went a different way. And that was when I realized the plan had more merit than I thought it did originally. My colleagues up here are absolutely right. We need to make changes there. We need to move more people in different ways. I am all about data. I'm all about the stats of how many cars and how many people, how many bus trips, and how many bikes are going through various locations.
And I look forward to seeing those either verified or not verified. And I think Councilor Faubert is very right. You know, having a look at the integrated transportation plan, my mouth is not working today. The integrated transportation plan is incredibly important. It's time to have a look at that. It was done in 2018, and we need to either confirm or update or make changes to that as necessary. And I'm very willing to look at that.
Jeff Long.
Thank you, Wanda. Yeah, I think a lot of the changes proposed for railway, they're great. They do increase access for other ways of mode transport, whether it's biking or walking, so more people can kind of get off the road. There's more space for people who want to use the road. I think everyone here has spoken quite eloquently and passionately about all the pieces. So if there's anything I wanted to add, perhaps, is if we wanted to gain maybe some confidence within the community, there's some ways we can model this in real life with easy data. We can come out and put up some pylons, we can block off one of those lanes, very minimal expense, let people try it out for a while and see that it works. And maybe if it doesn't work, we can kind of tweak it. So I think there's a couple of ways we can experiment. Yeah, I am supportive, but let's put some real life experience too, so we can all figure it out. Thank you.
So the next question has come up a couple of times in a couple of different formats, but effectively the town master plan from 25 years ago emphasized the need for a downtown parkade, yet it's never been constructed. Will you prioritize building a parkade? Sean?
So the thing about parkades is they attract cars. And so if you put a parkade downtown, you're gonna get more cars downtown. It's a great expense to just get more cars downtown. What's smarter is the way that we're going, and that is that with the new town center ARP, we guarantee that there will not be a reduction in parking. And if there is a redevelopment of some of the current parking lots, that's when we may consider the downtown parkade, or as has been suggested, just outside of downtown. Parking is a huge issue in our town. We don't have land that we can just have this great big intercept parking. I had a meeting with the Parks Canada. They wanted to know if we had any land available for intercept. It's all through the Bow Valley. And so we're going to continue to try to tackle that one. But as far as the downtown parkade, right now, as it is, no. And there's a reason it hasn't happened in 25 years, because it actually doesn't make sense.
So we have another question here from BVEC, which is Bow Valley Immigration Partnership. Many residents, including those with permanent residency, cannot vote in this election. What specific steps will you take to actively include all residents in community decision-making? Karen, can you take that on for us?
Thank you. I'd like to say, I would like to advocate for the people that are permanent residents here. I know that there's many ways now they can have a say, and encourage them to, one, become a Canadian citizen for sure. But I would always encourage them to participate in community groups. They can participate in our committees, and then move forward. I'm not sure exactly how to move forward on it, but I think involvement is the first step. I know I've assisted many of our many people that are permanent residents and have met with many, and a lot of them are frustrated, but I've also helped them direct them to community housing wait lists. I have helped them in different ways, but actually it's telling them that they can have their own voice and meet with us. And so I'm not sure how to move forward for if you're thinking of vote in terms of voting. So
thank you. Jeff Milstead, would you mind to repeat that one as well?
Sorry. Yeah, no, I get the game, so you have my number. You can call us, you can email us, you can sit down and have a conversation. You can, there's a lot of community boards that you can be a part of. We don't have a thing saying that, oh, you have a PR, you can't be on a community board. It's, you gotta live here. That's the part of it. So you can be on our board. You can come and join us and contribute that way. Again, we're always trying to look for better ways to engage the citizenry and our residents. So, just reach out. If you have an idea, share it with us. Because again, we don't have all the solutions out here. we're doing what we can, but you know, it's a team effort, and we all bring something different to the table. And sometimes some of the best things are when people call us and say, "Hey, I have an idea." So if you have an idea that you think would help with this, share it with us.
So I'm combining a couple of other questions that are in here. So if we look at the traffic calming features, do you support the numerous calming features and crosswalks that have been added and will be incorporated into our roadways, such as the beginning of Main Street? And if we also look at Elk Boulevard, in terms of these approaches, what type of data have you seen drive to those decisions? Wade, can you take that on?
Well, the biggest stat is that people that are driving slower when there are accidents, the significance of that accident is minimized. So yes, I do support traffic calming, mostly because it enables other modes of transportation to safely access the road as well. You know, it's not a lot of fun when you're riding your bike and somebody's blowing by you at 60 kilometers an hour. Now, there's also a conversation to have about bike etiquette and the speed in which bikes are flying around town right now. I think that is something for us to address in the future. But in general, yes, traffic calming is something I generally support. And enforcement of the rules of the road for everybody who's using the road.
Jeff Ma, you are lucky enough to have a question asked to you, which is very rare in this forum. How can town council combat lobby groups like Fair Future Canmore that spread distortions and pit second homeowners against the community?
Could you say that again, please, Wanda? I'm sorry, the first part I found that.
I would, but it was just deleted. Can you reinstate that question? It was effectively about how will you address lobby groups, and I can't recall the name of the one that was mentioned, but when it comes down to doing that work with individual organizations, can you speak about your approach? Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's why I think Councilor Fulton was snagging. We're talking about Fair Futures Canmore as an example.
Yes.
And we're also, in the issue that we're dealing with is misinformation. Is that correct? That's one of the questions. Yeah, well, I think a lot of that piece there too is we as council try to be available. We try to put our messaging out. Town of Canmore, we have our communication groups where we put it out on our Facebook and socials. I know Mayor Krause has been a stalwart supporter getting the message out. I think forums like this, when we talk about the state of livability tax, something that obviously Fair Futures Canmore and the ability to pose, we can bring to light the other side of the story. I think all of us have different channels we like to communicate with. You can call Jeff Hillstadt, obviously at home. He's really good at 11 o'clock at night. And for myself, you know, I have other ways of communicating. I typically am now no longer really much on social media, such as Facebook. Facebook of 2025 is very different than Facebook of 2021. It's really toxic. So I've got a podcast instead. You can find me at the Canmore on YouTube or Spotify, and I try to talk about these various issues. And as always, please reach out. The misinformation is a big piece. That is how things are weaponized. And there is a truth out there. Why not talk to your decision makers because they will tell you the truth. Thank you.
Tanya, would you like to jump in on that one as well?
Sure, and I think like it's really important to understand that there are different perspectives on these things for a reason, because they are difficult and complex. Creating an entirely new tax system is not easy. And so it would have been really obvious at the beginning that we would get pushback. There would be lobby groups. There will be people out there. The best thing that we can do is continue to put out the information that we have as your council, and the mayor does a really excellent job at that. But we live in Canada. We live in a democracy. We have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We have the freedom to associate. We have the freedom of expression. We have the freedom of speech. And I get it. We don't like some of the things they're saying. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed to say it.
Mayor Crowsert, some candidates are promising to freeze taxes, and we're wondering if there's anything that you would freeze within the budgets as we move forward.
You know, every one of us in our household budgets and our business budgets recognize that things cost more. And so to simply freeze it actually just kicks a problem down the road. There was something that this council had to deal with. The last council did it for all the right reasons, but they froze tax increases during COVID. And like I said, it was necessary at the time, and I don't dispute that decision they made, but we had to deal with the aftermath of that. And so our first budget was actually having to do a lot of catch up. Because regardless of what we would like to see happen with prices, they keep going up. So, you know, is there anything that's going to freeze? No. I'm going to be realistic with that. I do not see anything freezing. That said, we could reduce the service. We could eliminate the service. If you have ideas of what you think you don't need anymore, we're entirely open to that. And that way you reduce the budget. I guess I finished the question.
Thank you. If re-elected, would you prioritize improving both the quantity and quality of Canmore's public washrooms, which are currently inadequate and often unavailable? Karen. Thank you.
Sorry. Repeat that again, I'm sorry. Public washrooms?
Yes. If re-elected, would you prioritize improving both quantity and quality of Canmore's public washrooms, which are currently inadequate and often unavailable?
Thank you. Actually, it's quite interesting that this question is for me to more, at least I'm the one getting it. I've been part of BIA. I've been part of the downtown group that has been advocating for washrooms. I did actually bring to have the washrooms that are in our civic center for extended hours and during the week, and it did happen for a while. I'm not sure of the hours now. And yes, there is a need, and we're going to be hosting the world and have even our children downtown. They need a place to run to the bathroom. It's not always an easy thing or accessible. So I would definitely work towards that. And yeah, I definitely support washrooms and adding more. It's just finding the money to do it. Sean?
I just wanted to jump in with, we actually already have this budgeted for next year. And with the town center ARP approved, this should be the number one public initiative that we move forward. A lot of the things in the ARP are private, and it's for the various owners to develop them on. But I totally agree, we need more, and we're on it.
All right, Jeff Hillstead, would you support the enforcement of bylaws against illegal e-bikes and those with throttles on our streets and the enforcement of helmet laws for youth?
I'm not sure if we actually have legal e-bikes, but there's definitely, I see gas e-bikes and things that are motor vehicle and not an e-bike. Yes, enforcement, again, it's enforcing of anything is always a tricky thing. I'm definitely for it because I've seen way too many kids ripping around on e-bikes without helmets. And even if they're just on a normal bike, you need to wear a helmet. But some of that enforcement actually, that's on the parent when it comes to kids. Because I don't let my kids ride their bikes without a helmet because I don't want them cracking their head open. So it's, bylaw can always enforce when they see it, but we don't have unlimited bylaw enforcement. The RCMP will enforce it when they see it. Again, we have limited resources, and if you want to increase those resources, that usually involves tax increases. So it's a tricky thing. It's not an easy thing, but yeah, no, obviously everyone on an e-bike needs to wear a helmet. You can get going pretty fast, and that's just the right thing to do. So I'm fully for enforcing those things. It's just finding a way to do it. It's not always easy because, again, if someone's working by and there's no RCP or bylaw around to do it, I can't really enforce it.
Wade, what is your position on the regulation of commercial short-term rentals in Canmore, their impact on housing availability and community livability?
So I think there's a lot of confusion in the community about what a short-term rental is and is not. Now we have vacation accommodation, which can be advertised on Airbnb, for example. And then we have illegal homes that are being advertised on Airbnb. We have done a lot in this term of this council to address illegal short-term rentals. We just got $1 million to address this problem alone. One of the reasons we wanted business licenses on Airbnbs was so that we knew exactly which homes were legal and which homes were illegal. And we need those illegal Airbnb units, short-term rental units, to go back to the long-term housing supply.
Tanya, do you support the development of a major commercial project next to a neighborhood habitat patch and a wildlife corridor? Why or why not?
Okay, so this is a really important question because if I'm elected to council, I have to have an open mind. I have to be able to consider all the information about anything that is being proposed. So to have an opinion on something that isn't even in front of us yet would be irresponsible of me. It's not the right way to do it. I get the concerns. I have concerns too. And so we need to hear it out. We need the process to get to that point. And when I have all the information I need, then I'll make a decision. Thank you.
Jeff Long. Should the town revisit decisions impacting downtown business vitality such as paid parking and permanent pedestrianization with community downtown businesses?
Well, I think we just went through the process to connect downtown Canmore Airbnb, and that was like a very involved process. And I remember we were talking about that back in 2021. We worked our way through it, and here we are. I think the plan is great. We've done what we had to do. I think the plan is in balance with what we're looking for. So yeah, I support the decision that we made. I don't see the need to revisit at this point. You know, several years down the road, we're seeing differences, but right now, no.
Thank you. All right, we're starting to get down here in the questions, folks. This is exciting for me. Okay, we will go with Karen. Karen, how can Canmore better generate and allocate tax revenues based on the demographics served? How can visitors contribute to supporting service maintenance? I can view that. How can Canmore better generate and allocate tax revenues based on the demographics served? How can visitors contribute to supporting service maintenance?
I think visitors do contribute. One, we've heard talking about parking, they do contribute there. They are part of our economy, and how we spend that money, and we spend it wisely, that can be benefited for the community as a whole. And I think we've sort of addressed that earlier, is where do we spend that economic dollar that's coming in? It's on projects that support our community and the tourists. So bathrooms would be one of them, or lake bathrooms, so that everyone that goes up there, whether it be community members or tourists, can also enjoy. And also extra garbage collection in all those places.
Great, thank you so much. Wade, do you think that we can place emergency services closer to downtown in South Canmore where train traffic affects timely ambulance and fire response?
That's a good question. You know, there were studies done for the fire hall, new fire hall, as to times and getting to locations that they needed to get to, and that was deemed to be the most viable, safest one at that point in time. I think it still is. We need to look at Bow Valley Trail and the intersections that go across the railways there, and what it takes to get around those when there is a train that has blocked those from time to time. There, you know, as Canmore grows and as we add more people, especially up in Three Sisters, there will be infrastructure that addresses those sorts of concerns more directly. But at this point in time, those response times are adequate.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are on wrap-up mode. A special thanks to all candidates tonight, everybody who's still here, from our challengers for the passion that you shared with our community, for all of the work that you would put into coming up here and making sure that you were prepared for our questions. I think we're all leaving here with a much clearer sense as to what you stand for, where you want to see Canmore into the future grow or thrive and continue to move forward. Thanks to our audience for posting all the questions and for staying the course with us tonight. It's very appreciated that you've taken the time out of your busy schedules. And to everyone behind the scenes who made all of this smooth and flowy and enjoyable, thank you so, so much to our organizers. If for any reason you did not have a chance to get collateral from the candidates, you know where that side table is. If there's anything left, do feel free to grab it. And of course, make sure that you're voting on October 20th. Thank you so much for your time.